Welcome back to Pat and Go with Paul Browning. I'm your host, Paul Browning. Of course, I've got Guy Girtin.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
It's going
today,
great,
buddy?
going great.
Good to be here.
Definitely, we got Mike Lewis.
Looking forward to getting to 50-50 again here soon.
Right, look, man,
you're
this
leading
guy
the way,
here,
right?
50-50. Of course, he's ready for 50-50. Before we jump into 50, I want to say a couple of things. First off, thank you for those who are watching on YouTube. Make sure that we're liking and subscribing at KPPF 1040 AM, and also Pat and Go with Paul Browning. We're going to have so much content for you guys. You can look at past episodes, all those different things. So we were able to cover a couple different things. Now I want to jump into Under the Hood. So when we go under the hood, we're just doing some deep diving into whatever issues and things throughout the week that need a little bit more of talking about. And this week was so crazy with player movement. Obviously, trade deadline had just came and went. So I just want to talk about a couple different things. Some notable changes. Derrick Henry gets hurt. Okay, He broke his foot. He's out for the season is what it looks like. Jameis Winston, he's also hurt. He's ACL. He's out for the season. Michael Thomas with the Saints, out indefinitely. Aaron Rodgers out with COVID. Von Miller's traded. Adrian Peterson signs with the Titans. That's just a few to list off of the player movement that we've seen this past week. Absolutely incredible. But I do want to talk about something when it comes to player movement. I've said before on this show, the NFL stands for not for long. Right? So change is guaranteed, obviously. But player movement is definitely uncomfortable for the players that are playing, for the coaches who are making the decisions, for general managers. It's always very uncomfortable. I've always hated the lack of loyalty, though, that an organization gives to its players. You may have your opinions on what I just said, but that's just how I feel. Case in point is the Von Miller situation. A player that can give all to his team, probably one of the greatest Broncos of all time, Super Bowl leadership that he brought out, you name it with Von Miller. It is a problem to me, and it irks me how easily it was for the Broncos to part ways with him, or at least from the outside looking in, seemed pretty easy. Really, that should have never happened, in my opinion. Montana should have never been a Chief. Joe Montana I'm talking about. Emmitt Smith should have never been to the Cardinals. Jerry Rice should have never been an Oakland Raider. When you give so much to an organization, I just believe that that's something that you should be repaid for. Now, my question is to you guys, is team player loyalty an issue, or should we chalk that up to part of the business?
Well, I wanted to go back real quick. You were talking about it's hard on the coaches and the team. It's also hard on the fans.
Yeah.
Fans have, we have our favorite players.
Yep.
There are people who have Von Miller jerseys with the Bronco. And I'm going to go back to John Elway. John Elway is, as always, will be a Denver Bronco.
Right.
That's where he was. So that's a part too. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this as far as, to me, you're building a team. Teams work together. You're in the locker room together. You're practicing together. You learn to think like the other person thinks. And there's something about that camaraderie. And, I was in the Navy for 21 years. And you develop that team workmanship, and you learn to fight and play as a team and work as a team and help each other.
Yep.
So I look at it more from the team perspective, but I understand the NFL is a business.
Well, it's nothing new. It's been going on for years in any sport. Of course, Nolan Arenado with the baseball with the Rockies, too, the same thing. It was
Denver's hurting.
Oh, man, I tell you. And then for this to happen with Von Miller, and he had said that he was all in to get this season turned around with the Broncos, wanted to be a part of it. But, again, down the road here, let's see what happens. Yep. He was coming to the end of his contract. If you're looking at it on the business side of things, then now was the time.
Yep.
And as we mentioned earlier, Peyton's own child won't speak to him because of Von Miller. But we're going to miss him, and I do believe he will be back to retire as a Bronco. They do that. I hope so.
We often see that. We often do see that. I mean, when you look at the flip side of it, too, kind of what you were talking about with wanting to be there, we just seen in this past week, Odell gets released. Odell Beckham Jr., not a Cleveland Brown anymore. And that was a guy who very vehemently did not need to be in the building or didn't want to be in the building. You know, LeBron James tweeted for us to let us know he didn't want to be there, and his dad let us know as well. So it does go both ways. Cleveland, even though it was a bad situation for them, cost-wise, cap space, they lost about $47,000 to releasing OBJ. They did it because of the team. So that's just where I put that up in the air, where a team was able to cut Odell because team, and then money didn't necessarily – it was something. There was a shot that they were willing to take. But then on the other end, a guy like Von Miller gives you all he's got.
Well,
and you get rid of him.
I got a question. Yeah. Should Peyton Manning have ever been a Bronco?
That's another one. There's so many guys where just they should never have worn a different jersey, and that's just one of the things with player loyalty. With that, I do want to wrap up Under the Hood, though. We do got to get into 50-50. Mike is so excited to just crush us again this week. So we're going to wrap up Under the Hood. That was brought to you once again by Lavish Lashes and Castle Roofing, taking care of all your roofing needs. So let's come back after this short break. We'll get into 50-50. This is Pat and Go with Paul Browning.